This is Minette Reyes, SLUNAAI Secretary and Chair of the Website Tech Committee, Class of 1994. Welcome to our monthly Zoomustahan. This month's topic is about nurses with MBAs. We will have a fireside chat. Our guests that we will get to have a chat with are Ms. Dali Lagmay-Bana of class of 1987, who is based in Seattle, Washington. And then we have Marilyn Aliaga Kimayong of batch 1994, based in Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, in the UK. Yeah. She's in the Philippines right now, but yeah, so that's those are our two guests. And of course we have, I'm pretty sure Kuya Dino is also on the line. So we have a bunch of business people also. We're excited to have them. So with that, I would like to start with Marilyn. Maybe she can tell her story about how she started. I mean, if you can tell us the story about when you graduated up to the point where you are now. So take it away.
Hello. Good morning, everyone, and good evening to wherever you are. My name is Marilyn Kimayong. I've graduated in St. Louis College of Nursing. I'm batch 94 really, but there was a one sem that I had to stop because I had a child in the last sem. Took some time off and delivered my daughter and went back, graduated. But I'm considered more on the batch 94 than the following batch. From graduation, I ended up working in clinics. You know, back here in Philippines, you don't get the opportunity to work in a hospital when you don't know anyone in the government. So I had to go to Taiwan 2 years later, and from Taiwan came back to Philippines and applied as a tourist to go to United Kingdom because I already had my paperwork, my decision letter, but I wasn't able to afford the 500,000 pesos placement fee at the time. That was about 2003. So I flew as a tourist to the United Kingdom and found an employer. In 3 months' time, I had my PIN number to practice as a nurse. And that was something actually extraordinary because there were some others who were still working there as carers when they were there for 2 years at the time. I went there 12 weeks. I was able to be signed off and was fast-tracked to become a clinical lead. The leadership potential was already seen in there. And you know what? I really, I credit that to St. Louis. You know, Minette, how I was when I was in uni. I wasn't really that type of studious person, whatever that it was in my head. That's why you called me a Stig in the batch, but yeah. Anyway, after that, everything was fast track. I became a manager for the work location that I was working at in a matter of 18 months. Because they already have seen that potential. As I said, I repeat that's credit to how St. Louis was really good. And then few years later, I got bored. I got bored running the same systems. You master it, and if there's issues, you resolve it. And it's just a repetition of everything that you do, with compliances, with goals, your targets as a manager. And I thought, I'm going to stop. I don't want to work anymore. I'll go back to Philippines. I have earned money. Maybe I can go back and start a business. But the employers that I had were saying, the chief executive came and saw me in 2017 and said, you know what, you're just bored. We'll send you to school. So I was working full time just the same, and took the 2-year course of masters, enrolled, finished it. At the end of my masters, Dali will know there's always like the capstone project. So I presented my capstone project, my draft capstone project to the chief executive of my employers, and I convinced him that they should fund my capstone project. So he flew to the Philippines to see really the feasibility. It's more of his own marketing research. So they funded it. They funded my school though. It's all free for me, and they gave me the capital. And this is something very rare. They gave me the capital, and I started this agency because the capstone project has to be something international. And I thought of, you know what, my involvement with recruitment of Filipinos in the UK goes back to 2015, and I thought I need to do something to infuse my ideas in how I can recruit Filipinos, because I'm very proud as a Filipino. I'm very proud of our curriculum, not just in St. Louis but across the Philippines. Really, the academics um, curriculum is very, very different, very advanced compared to the one in the United Kingdom. So I thought of, maybe I will use this as a platform and make it as my own business through the Capstone project. Um, Setting the business though is not all about money, because at the end of the day, um, we're here only for limited time, and the best for me that could be shared to others, and this is always what is there on our web page, the page on Facebook, is I help nurses, and I don't ask for anything because everything is free. It's the employers who are paying, but I expect that they pay it forward to others para naman medyo guminhawa naman ang buhay ng lahat ng gustong mag-abroad, lalo na sa mga nurses. So 2 years later, I say we managed to send over 100 nurses in the United Kingdom. There's it's no cost to any of the applicants. And also, the reason why the employer really likes it is because low cost sa kanila. If you can imagine that any employer will pay about £8,000 for one nurse to go to the United Kingdom, my agency only collects about £2,000. So that's just about 60-70% lower on costs. So doon nila nagustuhan yung niya. So yeah, that's where we are. I am hoping that other employers, although namimili ako ng employer kasi ayoko yung naniningil ng mga empleyado kasi wala nang ang pera. I've been there. I wasn't able to afford £500,000, kaya ako nag-tour to the UK para ako na maghanap ng aking employer. But it's no longer allowed these days. So the only route is agency, and I'm willing to partner with anyone really who's going to obviously be having the same ethos and the passion for helping. And you earn money, but wala kang nasasagasaan.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Let's jump over to Ate Dolly naman, your turn.
So, I prepared this MBA in healthcare. Is it worth the money, time, money, and effort? So I'm Dali Bena. graduate of 1987. My specialty is adult ICU and CCU. Actually, I was able to work for St. Louis University, Sacred Heart for 4 years, and actually started a master's degree already there. But I had to move with my husband in Puerto Princesa because he just finished his residency in anesthesia, so he wanted to practice there. So we moved there. Then I did my MBA in healthcare management in 2015. Finally, I said, "There you go. I get to finish the masters that I wanted to do." It's this was courtesy of my union, so it's a scholarship. Also, it was for free. All I had to put in was time and effort, so no money involved. I also did my certified case management certification in 2020, and I'm currently a case manager liaison nurse with Kaiser Permanente, which is an HMO. Um, next slide, please. Next next slide, please, Minette. Oh no, in the entrepreneur. Then the next one, previous pa.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
So in the entrepreneurial experience and involvement, I owned and managed the first cross stitch and frame shop in Puerto Princesa. So when we moved there, so ito, wala pa akong business experience before. So I was into cross stitch, and so I went to a department store, the biggest department store in Puerto Princesa, and I was looking for a missing thread to continue my cross stitch project, right? And being new there, then they were like looking at me, what is that? Ano yan? Ano yun? So I said, oh, that is something that I can put this mark here in Puerto Princesa. So I traveled back to Baguio. If you remember the Stitch and Frame, the famous Stitch and Frame in Session Road, I sabi ko, I want to put up a business like this in Puerto Princesa, Palawan. What do I have to do? So I talked to the manager, and in short, I was able to put up that business for almost 9 years before I came here. And actually, this is one of my product here. If you could see my backdrop. So I brought a lot of that. And actually, my sister-in-law also continued that business. And until now, it's growing strong. And of course, a lot of small businesses copied. And that big department store that I asked, she also copied that business. But it's okay. So it was a trademark. And then so when I came over here in Renton in Washington, I also established an adult family home, but it only lasted for 3 years because of a lot of staffing issues and all that stuff. So I moved on, and actually I got injured from work that I had to recover, and it led me to a financial education thing, which is called the World Financial Group. And now, up to now, I'm a marketing director. I'm just doing it part time. I'm licensed in life and health from 2015 up to the present, and licensed in about 10 states and still growing. That I have licensed associates under me, and I go to an office, which I continue to do so. So next slide, please. So memberships, I've been a PNA lifetime member. I belong to a huge SEIU in Northwest 1199, which paved the way in me getting that scholarship for my master's degree. Commission for Case Manager Certification, Case Management Society of America, and PhilAm Pacific Northwest Chamber of Commerce. And I was going to say past, but still present until July, Board of Director for SLU Nurses Association International. So why MBA, not MSN in leadership or other kind of masters, right? So masters in healthcare management is key in preparing you for executive leadership role in your career. You can increase your salary potential, be eligible for promotions, or move into a position or industry that you're passionate about. In fact, when I got interviewed with on my current position, the manager was like, I love my position, Dali. I saw that you have a master's degree. You're not gonna push me over, right? And get my position. And I was laughing. I said, no, I'm still new in case management. So I'll let you be the manager for now. And next. And then, as everybody know, like Marilyn said, healthcare is big business in today's complex economy. It takes smart leadership and administration to run today's hospitals, medical offices, and government agencies. It's not only in the hospital world; it's even IT, right, Minette? We are dominating because we understand what's going on in the healthcare field. We use, I don't know what you guys use. We use Epic. It's a big medical record system that even across the U.S. and not unless you're in another, but because in case management, what we do is as a payer, we follow our patients. If they travel abroad, like in the Philippines or Mexico, and they get sick, unfortunately, they get hospitalized, we have to contact the providers, and it's the insurance thing that we do. See if they are meeting the medical necessity guidelines for to be able to cover them. And this is just a snapshot of the courses that I took, and I don't know with Marilyn if it's the same. It's just 11 courses, which basically like healthcare management accreditation audit, service line development, and then in management, managing organizations and leading people, operations management, and then in marketing and communication, marketing, of course, and then accounting for decision makers. I really hated this subject. I don't like math, but I have to go through that in order for me to jump to the next one. And then leadership, ethical leadership. I was telling Minette, I was sharing with Minette and Marilyn, I was grouped with other students all over the US, and there's one who was in the military in Saudi. And so we had different time zones, and I used to work night shift, and I had to be the one to sacrifice my time because I'm in the middle of the time zone, so we could prepare our leadership presentation. Notice it says ethical leadership, not so it ethical issues and dilemmas that managers face. And then the next one, finance, of course, financial management and strategy, data-driven decision making. Economics, and then the capstone, which is at the end of the program, you'll complete a final capstone project that allows you to show off everything you've learned by working through a simulated business problem. You'll integrate and synthesize competencies learned throughout the program, putting your knowledge and skills to the test and preparing you to quickly apply your expertise to your current role, or enhance your marketability for advanced role in your field. So yeah, there were three main reasons why I chose the MBA program. So if I decide to cross the line from being a rank and file employee to managing an organization, at least I will have the credentials to back up my claim to that management position. Um, like there was this thing that happened to our department one time. There was one person who wanted to apply for a that management position, but because she didn't have that degree, even if she had that experience, her resume was like put to the side. Number two, I can use the skills and knowledge that I will acquire in the course of my study to manage my own side hustle, which I am using now, and it's free. It everything that's free, it's for me. That's always one of my motto, right? So how and what has MBA helped me so far in my nursing career and personal business? As I said, everything that was underlined from the previous slide, in each of the courses mentioned in earlier slides, I may have used them in one way or another, or either in my current nursing position or in my business I call my side hustle. Because my decision has to have a backup. Like, where did you get that, Dali? Where did you get that decision? Where are you basing that from? So yeah, right. So everything that was, oh, where was the next slide? So those are the ones that covers regulatory audits, resource assessments. I was gonna point out the quality improvement. So I was just new in case management, and I bravely um, presented a quality improvement to my manager. I said, if we're gonna do this, I think we're gonna save a lot of money. And true enough, I'm proud to say, in that 1 quarter after having that test done, we saved 7 million in just my department, because I categorized, they were doing the utilization review and the care coordination and the discharge planning just for one nurse. And I was telling them, what if we divide those those bulk complex managing to just one nurse does the utilization review, and then the other one does coordination, the other one does the discharge planning, and the work process became fast. And they said, okay, they were kind of like, this is kind of scary, Dolly, we haven't heard of that, and blah blah blah. So I said, no, I've read in the journals, and it's knowledge based, and it's evidence based, and it's in fact in the research about we could try it. So I gathered two of my coworkers, and we did a pilot for 2 weeks, and we proved it worked better. The patients got discharged to the next level of care, or higher level of care, or whatever. And we were able to save that 7 million in just 1 quarter. So until now, we're using that system. And the rest are also very important that I am still using in my line of work and in my business right now. So as a marketing director in World Financial Group with licenses in life and health in about 10 states, as I said earlier, um, I was able to utilize and hone the management skills I learned in management subject. I was able to assess my leadership style and use it to my business organization. The subject of marketing and communication helped me increase my production that allowed me to qualify for trips in Japan, Mexico, Europe, Canada, and various states of US. What I learned in accounting as well as finance allowed me to improve my ability to understand reports and use accounting information to plan and make sound business decisions. Knowledge of the accounting cycle, financial statements, taxes, and budgeting are very important in my business ventures, small or big. The MBA program, as well as my training in WFG, provided me that knowledge. There are many more, but the most important one is being able to reduce tax payment. One reason rich people get richer. I don't know if you know about this. If you're just an employee, nursing, as a nurse, DNP, you pay all the taxes. But if you have a side business that you could tax write off a lot, like what I do, like my Filipino accountant told me, you know, Dali, you're smart, because not even I make, all of us make a lot of money. We're nurses, right? But because of the business, I even have tax refund most of the time because of the tax write-off, and I get to travel. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And here are your photos from your from your
Yeah,
mentors.
yeah.
Right, that's awesome. So that was great. So Marilyn, why did you? I don't know. I think you covered this already, but
It's it's interesting actually. Like nursing, as much as nursing is universal, the MBA is just the same global. Mine is a global business MBA. So there's nothing that's covered about health, because to me, I thought I probably have mastered the health systems on a particular work role, that the job role that I was doing, because I've been manager already. I told you earlier I was getting bored. Interestingly, when I went to MBA, I was doing MBA and I thought all the strategies that I was learning, I've already applied it. So I've applied before I learned academically. Doing the MBA has made me understand that there are proper frameworks and strategy in every single step that you do to become successful. Um, my instructors were actually asking me, how did you know about this? You're a nurse, you're not a businessman. But I said, I thought it's something simple. If you've been working, because nurses are thrown into that responsibility and manage a business without having the background.
right.
And a lot of Filipinos, actually Filipino nurses, are also being tested to become managers. Most of them will be very successful in quality, but will fail in commercial parts of it, the money side of it, because we were not being shown how to. As you say, it's not part of our curriculum, of the nursing curriculum per se. I think there must be something that has been mentioned with regards to control of supply, but there's nothing solid to say, yes, this is the financial management of these things. Now, before I even did my MBA, I was already earning millions, doubling up the targets for the location that I was actually. So I've been awarded financial management awards for almost every year. I have met the targets for both quality and commercial part. And obviously, when you do that, you actually get to have the bonus. So getting the bonus, because there's bonus in every target that you meet. Now, my next project that was in connection to that was to train Filipino nurses, applying my the way I have actually stepped on to become a manager and been very successful. So I piloted it by also applying the same principles that I've done to myself, and they also have done MBAs.
Right.
Yeah. So, as I said, I say to them, just pay it forward. Whatever you gain from me, pay it forward to others. The other thing that, like Dali was saying, there's perks, a lot of perks when you do business. You get the money, you get to travel, and you get to meet people from all walks of life, really. Yeah.
Thank you for that. So I dug up an article on Elsevier last week where they reviewed 2,485 articles around what nurses perceive as gaps in their education that keep them from being effective in business and entrepreneurship. And they grouped all these gaps into 4 groups. So there's cognitive, which is about self-regulation and maintaining your work-life balance, managing stress and uncertainty. And then there's professional know-how, that's technical and professional knowledge within your business niche. And then, of course, grasping the larger content, because with us while I was working on at the bedside, my focus was how do I go home today without getting yelled at by the surgeon. So it was very small picture. And then another area that they identified was interpersonal, so networking and selling your services. And Karen can agree with me. We were not trained to do that in in nursing school.
Yeah.
Uh, you're you're not really tooting your own horn, and then dealing with contextual resistance like rejection, and you know um, you building your what's the word, uh, grit, building your grit, and then communicating clearly. That was they perceived that as a gap, and then in the business realm, mitigating and managing risk, marketing, financial, and operations management, and then of course strategic, which is like knowing how to start a business, concept, moving an idea from concept to
Mm-hmm.
cash. We don't have that. And then so what what we tend to do if we are leaning in the direction of business is we tend to turn to graduate degrees or learn as we go, which is um, not easy. Oh, Tito Bob Gaho pala also has an MBA. So yeah, that's awesome. Let's listen to what you have to share. Can you share something about your experience?
Yeah, sure. I would be happy to. I actually got my MBA in 1993, where not a lot of nurses were enrolled in the program. Not a lot of nurses. A lot of my colleagues are they were going into their masters in nursing, and I didn't really have any desire to get a graduate level in clinical because I'm already an RN, and I always wanted I'm always fascinated about running a business, even when I was a small child. So I said, well, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to get my MBA because I think, and Marilyn actually touched on this earlier, where you have your clinical expertise already, but financial fiscal management is not really embedded into the nursing programs. So that's one of the things that we're lacking. And a lot of the hospitals where they're closing and because they're losing a lot of money. And you really need somebody who has the clinical background and the business background to run a department. And I'm so glad I did because as I was a starting manager, a lot of my co-managers in their departments, they're losing money, and my department was making a lot of money because there's some simple things that we could control, the resources like supplies and equipment, and a big part of our expenses are the manpower, the overtime. So using my business background, I was able to control the cost, and really without sacrificing the quality, because as nurses we're always focusing about safety and quality of care. So having that background, the clinical background and the business background, I think it's a win-win situation. And and then later on, I joined the army, and my bosses, they all have masters in nursing. Never heard A lot of them never heard of a nurse with an MBA, and I was able to show them the advantage of having that expertise in financial and resources. And we also talk about the quality management, all those things that we learned into the MBA program. I was able to utilize them into my clinical practice. So it's really a win-win situation. So I'm really glad that you guys are sharing your background. um, I decided not to go into business, being an entrepreneur, because I really like doing hospital administration, and I found that niche in me. And my last job at Tripler in the Army, I ran a department where every year they were losing $18 million. I had a budget of 50 million, annual budget of $50 million, and the person before me, every year they were losing $18 million. But in 3 years, I was able to turn that around, and I credit that for having that MBA degree, because it really helped me really look into the whole situation, not just from the clinical standpoint, but also in the financial standpoint. So that's all I have.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
um, Kuya Dino, did you want to share anything? Um, or is he still there?
Yeah, not really. But I would rather like listen to Marilyn and Dolly. But I think well, maybe I'll share something later. But maybe like Pete Calixto, actually I've been talking to him and he's been exploring to pursue his masters, and he was trying to consult with me why MBA and why not MSN. And I've been having some conversations with him, but maybe like Pete can share with us like what prompted him, right? Because naturally we as nurses, we are I guess our trajectory is more for MSN, right? In clinical. So there are a few people like myself, Marilyn and Dolly, right? And Bob, which they have articulated very well their perspectives. But I guess we can hear from Pete, because right now this is perfect for him having this uh, fireside chat, because this will help him, I guess, make a decision. So go ahead, Mr. Pete.
All right, thank you, Dino. And truly, it is very timely. It is, I would say, predestination, as I might say. It's because about 3 weeks ago or 3 days ago, before I went to the hospital for my treatment, I was talking to Dino, talking about now after, because it was this AICD, by the way, guys, was what I had. It's an internal defibrillator. So I had that, and that's what has held me back on my going for my educational plans. Actually, having been retired, and I'm happy with the money I'm getting. I don't think I need another source of income, and that's one thing I am trying to avoid at this point in time, because I am being taxed to the max. That's my big thing. And thanks, Dolly, because you seem to kind of like have created a ray of hope in my direction. And that's what I will really look into doing that. But anyway, Dino and I have been talking about MBA. I said, well, I am a nurse and I think nursing, and it's been all nursing. But as far as clinical skills, I think I have that. Clinical theory, I think I have that. And going forward at age of 65, you're not gonna go back and do nursing. So what can you do in the community wherein you can still function effectively regardless of whether you are a nurse or not? This last couple of nights when I was in the hospital, with all your connections to the monitors and the gadgets that you are attached to, it was even hard to get out of bed to use the bathroom. So I said, well, this is nursing, and thanks for the experience, dear God, that I am here reminiscing and looking at being on the other side of the fence. So anyway, so going back to the educational component, yes, I want to look and explore into the MBA, because after all, I was not meant to be a nurse anyway to start with. I was going to be a journalist. So what else is different now that I am a nurse? Then I can take another direction of going into the MBA. That's why with
Mhm.
those, I think I really like your presentation, Dolly, because it kind of like gave me a direction. So that's what you do. I am not the expert in math or in figures or mathematical functions, but I do well. I do well in math anyway, but it's not just my best thing. But anyway, I really look forward to getting into, and I just started my exploration of which school to go to, and we'll see. Now that my medical issue has been at least taken care of for now. Thank you.
Yay! I have been thinking about it as well. Um, 2017, I worked for a software company, and my title was product management. I've never heard about it before. I know project management. I've never heard of product management. And that's when my boss said, well, your job is to make sure that the developers have something worth building. And I had to take, again, for the words that I shared earlier, and take an idea from concept to cash. Yung sa cash, doon ako nahirapan because I had to justify, oh, Minette, you're going to be burning an X number of hours from the developer's time, and they're good, but they're not free. They're not cheap. So whatever we're building, make sure that it will sell. How much money are we making? um, and yeah, you have to lay out everything. Marketing, what is the communication, training for sales. That was all my problem. And so I asked my boss, are you sure you wanted an OA nurse to do that? And she said, yes, the clinical part that you understand will guide everything else downstream, is what she said. And I had so much fun with that job. I just had to move back to Emory for some reason, because I couldn't travel that much anymore, but I had so much fun. So Tito Pete, I understand where you're coming from. It's very interesting out there.
I always say this, that over the years, I think for 18 years now, this is what I've been doing. I work for healthcare, but in the finance side. And I always say this, that we don't use in healthcare, we don't usually advertise this, but healthcare is business, right? Of course, it's all about providing excellent care, and quality care to our patients. But at the end of the day, it's business. So if any hospital or any companies for that matter is not making money, you know, then there's they said no money, no mission. So, and a lot of the chief nursing officer, in fact, one of our participants here, Mindy Ofiana, she's retired now, but I think she's teaching part-time, but she used to be a chief nursing officer. And a lot of the chief nursing officers, and even like those nurses in management, they are being prompted to take some financial courses, because it's one thing to understand the clinical component, right, of the operations, but it's also important for you to be able to understand the financial component. And I found that very helpful for me, because over the years, I always say this, that I have the best of both worlds. I'm a nurse by trade, but I also have this financial, like knowledge. So when I'm talking to an accountant, I can very well, in our company, I can very well, in fact, like just a week ago, I was talking to our CFO, and I can articulate, right, the issues that we're having in clinical. Because he couldn't understand why are we having all these denials of payment from Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, right? Because of course he doesn't understand the dynamics in nursing, right? The shortage. I mean, of course he knows that, but he couldn't grasp it. But me as a nurse, I can articulate it to him. And likewise with nurses too, when I do like training, or when I do attend meetings in clinical operations, and sometimes they always complain, why do we always have to do this? All those like documentation that they have to do, all the new processes. And now being able to understand the financial impact of what they do, or what they don't do. Now, they're able, I'm able to bridge that gap. So it's crucial. And again, like I said, for CNOs, for nursing management, they are being prompted to take some sort of financial, because it's so important. So when they like in the
Yeah.
C-suites, as they call it, with the chief nursing officers, the CFO, the CEO, it's crucial for the CNOs to be able to understand the language when she's in that room, because otherwise she's gonna have a hard time of like trying to justify some. Remember, like in nursing, when during budget season, we have a lot on our wish list. We need this equipment, another FT, etc. But if you don't understand the language that the C-suites, as they call it, speak, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. I thought somebody was trying to say something.
And that was me,
Oh yeah,
Dino.
go ahead.
So yeah, the managers are being asked to do like a 6 months management course. It's not the total master's degree if they don't have a master's degree. And if I may add, there was a top we heard something that they were thinking of the huge hospital or healthcare. They're thinking of like, why don't we just hire a manager as a manager with a management background? They don't have to be nurses, because they talk about metrics every day. It's just metrics. It's all about numbers. So, and with a nurse manager that has, yeah, they have a master's degree or 6 months management component, they're thinking like the emotion of being a nurse and being a manager dealing with metrics. When you combine them, sometimes it creates, there's a little bit of like a problem there. But if a manager just like without healthcare background and just management, just about metrics, they said we're gonna make more money. But what do you think about that, you guys? If that happens, if they're gonna hire a manager for, let's say, an intensive care unit or operating room, just a manager, because they have a management degree but they don't have a nursing degree or whatever, or a healthcare degree.
They,
You know,
they
it-
will, oh, go
uh,
ahead. Go ahead, Marilyn.
in the UK, specifically in health and social care, all these, and I'm sure you have that there, luxury location, work location of uh, elderly care. They often put a general manager who's been trained to do business management with a nurse, because it's a requirement in United Kingdom to have a nurse who's going to be running the nursing, the clinical part of the business. But it will fail always. It every single one that you would look into the inspection reports, it may be that home or that work location or the healthcare location is very successful in financial side of it, the commercial part of it. Quality wise is actually it's big time failed, because the manager will not be able to link together, because if they're not a nurse and they're only looking at business, I'm just repeating what you're saying, Dali. To be honest, it won't work, and it didn't work with others that I know in the United Kingdom. um, One of the reasons why I have put a pilot project for my employers, for me to support aspiring nurses to become managers, is because of that. They need to really understand business and nursing at the same time to be able to be successful. But yeah, it takes a lot of courage for any nurse actually to take on a responsibility without knowing financial part of any business
Mm.
knowledge.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you. So, time check. It's 9:04. Um, Going back to my question earlier, what imperfections do you bring into your business leadership at Idali? What personal challenges did you have to?
Actually, that was it.
That was
Our previous manager didn't have a master's degree, but she was all into metrics, but
um,
she was not showing us the details of what she wanted us to do.
right.
We told her to be open in communication and show us the spreadsheet, show us what she wanted us. Like, you guys, you haven't been monitoring your observation days. It should be just 2 midnights, the inpatient, the long length of stay. Like, what you have to tell us like really openly what you want us to meet at a certain hours or day or what, so that we can, you know, we can be in sync. And because she's being pushed by the upper,
Oh, yeah.
like
Mm.
you're late with this, but then she pushes the stress on us. You have to finish this, but she doesn't want us to file an overtime to finish the work. So how is that gonna work, right?
Right.
So that was one of it.
Yeah. So what about you, Marilyn? Did you have any imperfections that you had to work through personally? What moving from,
But me, I think not really from me. It's more of from them, from outside or colleagues or whatever. You know, we're bloody foreigners. I call myself bloody foreigners because I don't want others telling me I'm a bloody foreigner. There's always like, yeah, before you tell me I am a bloody foreigner, but I know better than you. That's why I'm here. I can tell you that because it's a multi-million business that I've been running. Someone who's going to come, either a member of staff or a new client, they'll come and look at me. So this is the manager. It's a multi-million business. They look at me and it's a Filipino because there's not many in the United Kingdom who's going to be running a multi-million investment of companies because obviously, you know, there's that. But
Show them, Marilyn.
um yeah, knowledge wise, um I suppose there's that barrier where, and it was in the beginning. It's gaining the trust from people you work with, from higher management, because first thing is you're not from them, you're not a local. So it was more of having to show what you can do first, and then they then started having to share with you, okay, this is how the business works. Like you say, they will not share numbers. They'll just let you say this is your target without actually telling you this is how it works, this is how you come to that. They won't. They will just say this is your target and we are going to expect you to have that. But later on, when they say, okay, this one understands actually, and she's with us, she's in our team, because there's always that middle management to the lower management and higher management. So you're in the middle where will they trust you to to run a business, and will they share you what the actual target was, or they will go higher without showing you the actual target, because sometimes your actual target is actually lower but they give you higher so that you can even work, you know, you work donkeys, and yet you already have finished your target. Um, the, yeah, that's,
I see.
I never really had any, I've never had any difficult challenge to face in at work becoming a manager.
I see. Okay. So, another question. What is something, if you had to do over again, you would have done differently? And what is something that if you had to do over again, you would have done differently, and it would have saved you a lot of hassles later on? Parang pagsisisi. Or,
I could have, I wish I could have done my MBA really, really earlier in my life, but I don't regret it. Probably I'm more mature when I got into it. It was really, really tough though, because I was just starting my adult family home then, as I shared with you with Marilyn a while ago. I had a 5-year-old. I had my elderlies at home. I was working 12-hour night shift before, but it just showed, I just proved to myself that I could multitask, and I went into my strict time management, and I was able to attain that goal, and I was able to show my 4 sons that anything is possible. Whatever your goal and desire is, if you have your headstrong and wanting to do it, you're going to be able to finish it. But if I have done it earlier, then probably I can retire earlier. That's what I was going to say.
What about you, Marilyn?
Mine is relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because in having to go to an MBA, like Dali said, it really is very, very time consuming. It will take everything of yourself. And like any challenge and like difficult things, there are relationships that will get burned, and there are relationships that will get, you know, that will start in any, because obviously I had to make a choice on my kids, their father, um, work relationships, employers, colleagues, things like that. So yeah, if I would have if I would go back, I'd probably do something differently to keep everything happy, everybody happy.
Oh, balancing. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question. Let me pause right here and ask everybody else, all the other attendees here, if you had any questions, please raise your hand or turn your camera on or just chime in. I don't want to be dominating the conversation. So, or type your question on the chat. Oh, there. Kay has a question. By 2030 in the US, 1 out of 5 is an individual over 60. What business comes to mind that you recommend for nurses to start? 1 out of 5.
Elderly home. You know, the reason, one of the little projects that I had when I was doing the MBA was elderly care homes. That was actually the main one that I had, to present why elderly care homes will boom. It's not just in America or in the United Kingdom. The elderly people will really dominate, the statistics of people worldwide. So one of the things that comes up in that is care homes. I know America already has gone to every single probably country everywhere to try and start their own care homes. Here in Philippines, there's not many. And maybe there are some who are thinking to actually start. I know that there's one in Baguio being started, because I was stopped, some advice, but yeah, elderly care
There was
homes.
right. My best friend uh, is one of the pioneers of geriatrics in the Philippines. She's an MD, and she was asked to help uh, provide input for that idea in one of the Baguio nursing homes, which someone from my family owns. And she said, Minette, you know what's missing here is uh, law. The law and implementation. There should be a law governing those types of facilities. So it's not there yet. But thank
There's
you.
no regulator. Yeah.
Regulation. So thank you, Kay, for that question. Anyone else?
Can I make a segue to Kay's question?
Sure.
You know, regardless of what business it is, and I always say this to people as well, because see, as nurses, we're clinicians, right? And a lot of other people, they would like to diversify and do business here and there. But whatever it is, make sure that it's your passion, you know, because it may be very lucrative, that business and all, but if it's not, if you're not, if your heart is not in it, then it can only go so long, right?
It feels like work.
Exactly. See, like for me, over the years, I've always been leaning towards real estate. In fact, I was a licensed realtor back in Maryland, like more than 10 years ago. And I've always been intrigued by that industry. So, well, voila, right? And I built a company in Manila, and like some of you know, I have a real estate property management company that I built like 3 years ago, right? And I like it. See, the thing is, you're right, Minette, because if you like it, it's not gonna feel like it's work. See, especially if you already have a full-time job, right? And if you're going to have a business on the side and it feels like you're dragging yourself because, well, they said that this is good and you're going to make money out of this, well, you really have to like it, right? Because otherwise it's going to be tough, right? So whatever side hustle that you want to do, okay, on the side, make sure that it's your passion. And knowing you, maybe you should do something about travels. I have a friend in Manila who that is her passion. She built a travel agency in Manila. And oh my God, she's all over TikTok and Instagram, and that's her company. But she travels with the people along the way too. So make sure that you will have fun, right? So, and I just want to interject that. Thanks, Kate. That's a great question.
Thank you. Karen has her hand up. Thank you,
I
Kate.
know. Well, I want to piggyback and echo kay Kay and Kuya Dino. And I think like, yeah, good point, Kuya Dino, about passion. And kay Kay then, like it doesn't really matter what, like Kuya Dino was saying, it doesn't matter what business. But at the same time, just like the nurse manager who dapat ba may MBA or wala, I think that's where like I see it like, oh, yung head and heart must be balanced. Like with any business, you need to find a need and then fill it. And at the same time, it needs to be your passion. Kasi like, kung puro naman passion and then there's no need, wala lang. Naging parang
Correct.
hobby lang siya. Pero if you really find a need and then you're passionate about it, I think that's, like that's the golden ticket.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the only advantage of having MBAs, at least, I could speak for Marilyn and Dolly and Bob. From my perspective, when I dove into that industry of business, I did some of those things that we learned, right, in MBAs. Like I did my market research. What was the need in the Philippines, right? Before I even decided to do that, I did some market research. I did my due diligence, because of course it's one thing to to follow your passion, but at the same time, when it's a business, it's a specialty as well. So I
Yeah.
guess for the ones who would like to explore that, make sure that you do your due diligence, talk to people who has the expertise as well, because it's not as easy. Sometimes I could make it sound so easy because I did it, but it's not, right? And Marilyn and Dolly, feel free to jump in.
Yeah,
Can I,
I
can,
was
can
gonna
I, yeah.
add into that. So, okay, like you're having these thoughts of ideas, right? Right now, probably you're thinking like, what kind of business do I have? So start writing them down and then try to get your motivation. Ano yung why am I thinking about this? Oh, what's the purpose of me? There should be an intention and a purpose para ma-drive ka sa idea mo na yon. And then like what Dino said, do a business plan. And then ask yourself, do I have my resources? Of course, capitalization, do I have time? Do I have, yung motivation yun ang pinakamalakis na ano dun because you're not just gonna start from this point and then you put in so much effort tapos hindi ka pala makakarating sa next point, right?
Right.
So,
Marilyn.
Can I add to that?
Mhm.
To Kay, starting a business really needs a business plan, but at the same time, I understand where you're coming from, where you say what could be a good business, and I'm sure na yung good business mo is something that's still close to your heart, which that's why you were asking about statistics show that there are going to be over 60. There's a lot of business that comes into elderly care. It's not just being in a care home, because in itself there's a lot of business within elderly. Interestingly, yung diversion ng suggestion about travel, you could have a very your niche of travel of above 60 could be that, or because thousands there's thousands of nurses who can afford. Do you know my observations of those who are coming from America, nurses who are now, who just come, who decide they retire from America, they come home. I feel sorry for them because the one thing that they do, because I'm coming back and forth, I'm here 2 weeks and I go back to UK in 2 weeks. From my province alone, I just observe them that they're waiting for, they miss the life in America, and they end up going back and not coming. But the main intention was to come to the Philippines and retire. But they're looking for something else that is similar to what they were actually having to experience in America. So travel wise, you could have that niche where it's over 60s, bring them to wherever.
Yeah, that's a good way of narrowing your target market so that you have less competitors. So so
business planning is really the first step.
So that's good though, Kay, because I was always told you start with a problem. What is the problem you are trying to solve? If you don't build the business, what does the market lose? So if you didn't exist, what does the what do they lose? What do the elderlies lose? So I think I like that way of slicing and dicing so that you can narrow down your target market.
Thank you, everyone. I'm not on video because it's 2:22 a.m. here in Portugal, but I really appreciate all the advice. I feel so blessed because I'm getting all this free advice from like people who are really in the game. So these are the quality people that I wanted to really pick their brains, the ones that are in the game, not based on theory, but really their experience. So thank you so much. Tahimik na ako dito. Mga kapitbahay.
Okay. Okay, so one last question for our speakers. If you could have dinner with any leader, who would it be and what is the topic of the conversation?
Ako hindi leader, but she's very, very iconic. Oprah. I love her. So I wanna pick her brain. Ang dami niyang ang dami niyang words of wisdom.
And building that brand.
Very positive motivator. Very good. Has a very good personal aura. Like she could talk to anybody from the bottom to the higher up. I don't know what's with her. She has this, right?
And she built that empire. It is a business empire that she's sitting on. Yeah. So what about you, Marilyn?
For me, I don't actually have anybody in mind because I know I can learn from anyone, from people from the streets up to whoever at the top.
Right. Yes.
I think it's hindi lingid sa'yo na marami akong experience na challenges in life, and I learned from every single one of them. Whether positive or negative, they have helped me to come where I am now, to become who I am at the moment. Kung ano man nangyari, even negative, I still them as blessing kasi kung hindi sa kanila, I won't be working better for myself, really.
Wow.
To achieve where I am.
That's great. Kuya Dino, you had something to share?
Not necessarily a leader, but a person that I've been wanting to meet actually he's an author. And I've learned a lot from his books about leadership, about business, about it's Simon Sinek. I'll type the name on the chat box. And if I had an opportunity to have dinner. In fact, by the way, like 3 years ago, I wanted him to be the keynote speaker to the Philippine Nurses Convention in New York. He's from New York.
He is.
I was willing to pay, I think within 1 hour, like the speaking engagements, like $10,000, right? We
Wow.
were ready to shell that out, but it's just that there's a big conflict with his schedule. But that's the guy that after reading all his books, I would like to continue to pick his brain. In fact, you could YouTube TED Talk, Simon Sinek. He has really great like
I follow him. I follow him on
yeah.
in social media, everything.
Follow him on Instagram. Actually,
and I read his books as well. Yeah.
That is his one of his books. Start with your why.
Yeah.
That's why, like Kay, your question later, no matter what area in your life is, always start with your why, right?
Yeah, and
exactly.
Steve Jobs talked about that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Doing stuff on your own, building a business is very tough. It's very difficult. So if you're not passionate about it,
Correct.
You're going to quit.
Correct.
Right away.
Actually, he was going to be the leader that I was gonna say that I want to have dinner with, but you can see he already passed.
Baka mag-dinner kayo kung saan yan.
But yeah.
Ego-ghost ka niya, hindi siya sisipot.
Oo nga. So, oh my goodness. Anyone else who, I see Mavi. Oh my gosh. Marilyn. Mavi is here.
Yeah.
Dr. Mavi.
Hi, Mavi.
She's on mute, but she's here. Oh, there she is. Are you at work?
Hi, classmates. No, I'm at the gym,
Hello.
just walking around, just waiting on my son because he decided last minute to come here, and I just got a guest pass to walk around.
I see.
So I just don't wait on him in the car. But so proud of you, my classmates. I'm always here to support you. Great talk.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Anong batch si Mavi?
Kami, I mean.
Oh, wow.
Nasaan si
Mavi? Where is she? Where is she right now?
She's a pediatrician. Texas.
Corpus Christi.
Saan country siya?
Corpus Christi, Texas.
I'm having a...
Hello?
Texas.
Oh, Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yeah.
He's a pediatrician down there.
Wow. One of these days, we should be able to meet you. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put them in the frying pan, our physician classmates.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
tsaka na-interview na ba yung mga lawyer classmates natin?
Ayan ang hindi pa.
Yeah, we should tap those. Those. Yung mga naging doctor, naging lawyer, they became entrepreneurs. We have a lot of those as well. Yeah, we should maybe have another topic. I mean, another Zoomustahan with those, right? The lawyers, the entrepreneurs, the doctors. That's a good topic, Minette and Kay, for the future. That's a great Zoomustahan topic.
Right.
Sure.
So, anybody else who has? I see a lot of activity on the chat, which is great.
Yeah.
But this has been so nice. I like relaxed chats like this.
Yeah, actually maganda yung ganitong yung talagang Zoomustahan, parang napupulungan lang. Fireside, kung bakit talaga nasa Fireside talaga tayo na nagchat-chat. This is great.
So, Marilyn, we I think the time frame for the Zoomustahan is typically this time, third week of the month. But we hardly have anyone join from the UK because of the time difference. One time we had Jennifer. She was one of our speakers at one time, and she woke up at 2 a.m. like Kay is doing now. But she was one of our speakers, and that was great as well. But we'll see. We'll one day we will find the sweet spot where we can accommodate both, US, UK, Philippines, and everybody else. But yeah, this has been great. Thank you, everyone.